What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're gonna talk some football, Houston, Texas football. But before we get into all that, check that out. Y'all see it? Go over here. Go back right there. Right there. Y'all see it? It's fresh. It's cool. My sister got it for me for Christmas. It was my Christmas gift. Shout out to my big sister Muffin. Love you, sis. Now let's get back into talking about this football team. Let's talk about the Houston Texans. As we are getting closer, we are one game away from the postseason. We're about to enter postseason play after this last week of the season versus Jacksonville Jaguars. And after that, we will end the postseason play. How much faith do we really have in this quarterback, number 4? How much faith do we really have in this young guy? Remember, this guy, this is only his second NFL season. This is his 20. This start here would be his 16th start, and he already has 6. So yeah, this will be his 22nd. This guy is only having his 22nd start this coming up week. So the guy has only had 21 starts previously. And what do we really put up on him? Now I know you remember the comment coming into the draft during the whole draft process from his head coach at Clemson, calling him the next Michael Jordan. If you pass on him, you pass on Michael Jordan. Like we've been saying numerous times, that what he really meant about that statement is if you passed on him, especially if you're a team who draft a quarterback, you're going to end up regretting that you didn't draft Deshaun. And I think as long as Patrick Mahomes continues to put up numbers, I don't think Chief fans will ever regret, because they're going to be in love with the video game numbers. But with those video game numbers, even though they have transitioned to regular season wins, something we've seen with both the Chiefs and the Rams, and we also seen this before with the Colts in years past with Andrew Luck and with Peyton Manning, and we've seen this with the Chiefs as well. The high-power offenses look high-powered and unstoppable, and we also seen it with the Saints as well, and they play in the dome. The high-power offenses look high-powered and unstoppable in September and October, but once it gets late November, in the month of December, in the postseason, those offenses don't look all that unstoppable. Now you got injuries, you got cold weather, you got people starting to figure out the defense is starting to figure out the offense and things like that. They figure out what makes the offense click, what stops the offense, what's the weakness, all the type of things like that. So you also have those type of scenarios going down, and also, like I say, just those high power offenses don't stay high powered all that long throughout the whole year. Now, sometimes you do have a high power offense stay high powered throughout the whole season, but sometimes they slow down. They don't be as fast paced as they once were back in September and October. So, and that's what some that the Rams and the Chiefs have started to see. Now, Chiefs not so much. The Rams definitely. Rams is they are, that could be due to the absence of Cooper Kupp, but they offense just had the brakes just completely slammed on them, because they've had multiple games now that they've scored under 20 points. But in saying all that, in saying that, like I said, I don't think Chief fans will regret Pat. I don't think. Well, I do think that right now, even though their defense is smoking and rolling, I do think that Bears fans probably look at Pat and look at Deshaun like, we got Trubisky. And let you be told, I'm not really a huge Trubisky fan. I never understood the draft pick. I never understood the rise from only having 13 starts at North Carolina. But it is what it is. But that's what he really meant. But it's other things to that we don't talk about. That competitive edge that he has. They asked a question today. Asked a question earlier this week about, you haven't lost many games many games more than 2 touchdowns or under a touchdown. He was like I think that's the last time that he had a double digit score as a loss. And I think he said his sophomore year in high school. His junior and senior year, the biggest margin of loss was 5 points. And we've seen in college and in the NFL, as long as that he hasn't had a loss that was more than a touchdown or more. I think the Chief game last year was 8 points. I think it ended up being an 8-point spread. So all of them have been within one possession. With this year, first game of season 7, the game against the Titans 3, the game against the Giants 5, the game against the Colts 3, this past game against the Eagles 2. So we see that all these games are one possession games that he's always been involved in. So that you have that edge. Also, I think there's something that we don't talk about, something that I know that Skip always gets on LeBron and LeBron fans about, that LeBron doesn't have that killer that Jordan and Kobe have. I think that Deshaun actually has that attribute. I think he has that killer DNA. It's just that Bill O'Brien handcuffs it to a certain degree. Because I think that if you give him the range, if you open up the ranges for him and let him go for it on fourth down to end this game, to make this game over, he gonna do it. And I think I have the faith that he will, that he can complete that fourth down catch or fourth down pass, whatever the case may be, convert for a run if he has to end the way that he turns it up when it's the fourth quarter, the way he turns it up. And I can't wait to see this in the postseason because this is going to be really telling because we're going to see how Bill O'Brien coaches Deshaun Watson in the postseason. Remember the two postseason teams he's had before in 15 and in 16 was Brian Hoyer dealing with Brian Hoyer coming off the multiple concussions that season, and then also Brock Osweiler in 16. So he had to micromanage both those teams. This one, if he micromanages with number 4 out there, even though they hamstrung a receiver and the offensive line's playing bad, that's a horrible sign about Bill O'Brien because you have the guy who I think has all the tools physically, mentally, the heart, the clutch gene, all those attributes to just let him run loose. And like I'm not blaming Bill O'Brien for most of it. I know last year he had the opportunities, and I think it was more so him not trusting the rookie. And to a certain degree, you have to understand. I know that we as fans, we watch Deshaun in college and all those type of things like that. We so in loving the way he's playing and putting up 19 touchdowns in 6 games. But when you pay attention to actual football and actual real schematics, and remember, it's a checker game, not chess. Sometimes you don't want to overplay yourself. So I can understand to a certain degree not putting too much on a rookie's plate. To a certain degree, I can understand that. And then also this year, I can understand. Deshaun had the punctured lung early on in the year, the cracked rib, things like that, fractured rib, whatever it was. And you've seen last year that when number 4 went down, your season went down. So I see throughout the regular season, your main objective is to win the game and to make sure number 4 is healthy. You got to make sure that number 4 is able to play another game. So that's the mindset going into each game this week. Check 1, win. Check 2, make sure Deshaun's healthy. And if not, in the flip-flop order sometimes. Sometimes they might be like, well, fuck it. Make sure that Deshaun is healthy. I don't really care about, I want the win, but I got to make sure that number 4 walking away from this game. So, I can see the way he kind of coached and micromanaged a little bit, not taking chances early on this year. But when the playoffs get here, you can't do that. When the playoffs get here, you have to take chances. You have to win games. You can't coach scared. You can't play scared. And I have no doubt that Deshaun won't play scared. But will Bill O'Brien coach scared? It's the question. So that will be very, very telling of how he coaches his game. And we got to see what happens. We don't know exactly what the playoff matchup might be because there's a possibility that the Texans can end up still being the 1 seed if the Patriots lose. And if the Patriots and the Chiefs lose, I think it is, yeah. Patriots, Chiefs, and Chargers, all 3 of them lose, Texans will not 1 seed. Highly unlikely. But the Texans get the 2 seed 2 different ways. One, the easiest way if the Patriots lose, and the second way is if both the Chiefs and the Chargers lose. Because then the Patriots would be the 1 seed and the Texans would be 2 seed. Of course, it's all staying if the Texans win, of course, because you have to win. Because if the Texans don't win, they go from being the division champion to possibly being a 1, 2, or 3 seed to being the 6th seed in the playoffs if they don't beat Jacksonville. Now like I said, those are the bye week situation. Now if they beat Jacksonville and the Patriots win, which is more than likely the scenario, and they end up being the 3 seed, they will either play the Colts or the Titans, whoever win that game. And to be honest, I know I'm in the complete minority here because I know 99% of Texan fans want to face the Titans. I know 99% want if the Texans are the 3 seed, they want to face the Titans. I know I'm the 1% because I actually want the Colts. I want the Colts and Andrew Luck for 2 reasons, and maybe 3, but I can kind of combine 2 of them. That's why I said 2. One of the main reasons is I want to avenge my loss. That's just point blank period. I want to avenge my loss because we've already avenged our loss versus the Titans. We split with the Titans. That loss, we avenged it. Now, even though technically the Colts avenged their loss, and then it'll be a rematch in the same arena. It'll be a rematch in NRG Stadium if the Texans take their business. I want that matchup. But that's one reason. And then two, because I want to kill the narrative that the Texans only beat the Bengals and Andy Dalton. Because think about this, realistically, Texans, and I'm a Texan fan, and I can tell you right, point blank, Texans only got one legitimate playoff win, and that's the first one against Andy Dalton because they had Andy Dalton, we had T.J. Yates. They had a second round rookie who they went into the year as they starting quarterback. We had a third string, fifth round draft pick who was like I said, our third string quarterback who came in spotly to take over and win and to win a playoff game. So we shouldn't have won that game technically based off a quarterback play, and we did. Now the second time, we had no business playing that Bengals game because we should have been the number one seed in 2012, but we fucked that off and we beat the Bengals. So, and then 2016, you play against Connor Cook, and then what? And I think Connor Cook was their third string quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the narrative that we really haven't beat anybody. You give me the Colts and because the same thing will go if we play the Titans and we beat the Titans. They'll be, oh, y'all beat Mariota. Like that will be the narrative. I want to be we beat Andrew Luck, and for my personal opinion, I think that's going to be the division matchup going forward is Deshaun versus Andrew Luck. I think those are the matchups that you're going to be talking about year in and year out. Those are going to be the prime time games. Especially if we go to the playoffs and it's another thriller because you had the first game go to overtime, you had the second game go. It was a 3-point game, and the only reason, not only reason, but no, the Colts was able to ice it because Clowney jumped off sides. So if this game goes into the playoff game and it's a good epic game, no matter who comes out the victor, you're gonna get that matchup all the time as a primetime level game. Luck versus Deshaun. That's going to be Sunday night games, Monday night games. Those are going to be marquee matchups, primetime type games, because they're going to be looking at those two quarterbacks of running this AFC South. That's how that quarterback matchup is going to look. So go ahead and get this jump started early, and I want that matchup. Now I have, to my personal opinion, I actually believe that the Titans are going to win. Like I actually think that the Titans are going to beat the Colts. I think the Titans, Andrew Luck is either 10-0 or 11-0 against the Titans. He's either 10 or 11-0. Eventually, I'm an odds person. Eventually, those odds are going to catch up to him. He's eventually going to lose to the Titans, and I just think I just have a feeling. I just have a strange feeling that the Titans are at home. I just have a strange feeling that the Titans are going to come away with that win. Now, also, what you got to do with the Texans? The Texans have to handle their business because I think the Texans are going to come away with a win against Jacksonville, but by no means I think it's going to be an easy win. As people think, remember the Jags are the fifth best defense in the NFL. But if the Jags come to play, it could be a fight. But I also can definitely see that the Jags not really want to play this game. I know we talk all about spoilers and playing spoiler and things like that. That's fan shit. If you want to be honest, that's us. Players don't care about being. Maybe you could have made a case if the Texans don't have a playoff spot going into the game. If the Texans lose the game, the Texans like not make the playoffs, then you could make a even more legitimate case that they can want to play spoiler. But even still, like players are cool on and off the field. Like Ramsey and Deshaun hang out all the time in the offseason. If you follow one of them on Instagram, you're going to see them together all the time. They always in the club together. Same thing with Bouye and the Texan players. Bouye is real cool. Like he played with 4 years with the Texans. So him and a lot of these Texan players are tight. Him and JJ tight. Him and Clowney tight. Like they hang him, JJ and Kareem. They all close. So they don't really care about the spoiler aspect. That's more of a fan thing and the national media thing that we draw up and make up, and we head into the game. Oh, they want to play spoiler. They don't really care about that. Now, don't get me wrong. It is sometimes that players do genuinely hate another player on the opposing team, but 9 times out of 10, or 7 times out of 10, they real cool. That's why they take off jerseys after the game. And if you ever notice, somebody just got shellacked. Just lost 30 to 10. They cheesing like a mug with another player jersey, and they just got their ass whooped. Some of them lose heartbreak games like Sunday. You drive all the way down. You let the Eagles drive all the way down, kick game with a field goal, and you could have clinched the division. They on the sideline cheesing, holding up jerseys. They're just they cool like that. So they don't really care about that whole spoil aspect. And I believe that especially in a game like this, if the Texans jumped out early on Jags, like if they go up 14-0 in the first quarter, the Jags will mail it in. I'm like that. What's the point? I know Bouyer's supposed to be not playing. There's a chance that Fournette might not play. It's more beneficial for the Jags to lose the game because you don't want to be you're struggling. You already know you need a quarterback. That's what you're going to draft as a quarterback, and you don't want to get to a situation that because you and the Giants are battling for quarterbacks, and now the quarterback from Oregon took his name out the pool. The quarterback pool has gotten thinner. You might have to jump up. The better your pick is, the least that you have to jump up because you don't got all. What you have to give up is not that much to give up to Arizona. Because more likely Arizona is going to be the number one overall pick. So you don't have to give up that much if you're say the four, like if your draft slot is the four, if you win the game and you're the seven. Now you have to give up more to move all the way back, to move all the way up to one from seven. If you was at four, you might not even have to move up. But just in case you want to move up, it's easier for you to move up from 4 to 1 than 7 to 1. It's just simple mathematics. So it benefits the Jags to lose the game. I think the Jags can still end up with the 3 seed, the 3 or the 2. No, it might not be able to end up with the 2. Never mind. I don't think they can end up with the 2. I think they the highest pick they can get is 3 or 4. So it's much easier to jump up from 3 or 4 than it is to jump up all the way up. I think they can end up like with 7 if they win. If they win, the other teams lose. The way it works, I think they can end up with the 7th pick in the draft. So like I said, it's more beneficial for them to lose the game. Of course, we already know that, but especially now, if the game is close. Like I say, if the Jags hang around, like if the Texans don't take care of business, and well, like again, because they are the 5th best defense in the NFL still. If the Texans don't, if the Texans let them hang around and say going into the fourth quarter, it's 17-13, or if it's 14-10, something like that, all bets is off. Then Jacksonville probably would try to win the game. But like I said, if you go up 14-0, 21-3 at halftime type stuff, they ain't not about to come out there and try to make a fight of this game. They gonna want this last 30 minutes of the second half to go so they can go ahead and they probably on the sideline planning summer vacations. They probably like, man, I'm about to go do this. Shit, as soon as this game over, I'm gonna pack my stuff up, say my goodbyes, and we going to the Bahamas for the New Year. It's not all whatever it is whatever it is their New Year plans are, or whatever it is their off season plans are. That's what they're gonna be prepared to do if you jump out on them early. But then if you let them hang around, you're gonna give them reason to try to stick around and try to get a possible win. So by no means am I do think this game right here could be tough, but I do think the Texans should be able to pull away. Like I said, I'm hoping for the number 2 seed. That's what I prefer. Don't get it twisted. I prefer the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed, but I think that's highly unlikely. But I do prefer the 2 seed. So I do want the Jets to upset the Patriots, or I do want the even though I'm a Mahomes, even though I like Mahomes, because he went to Tech, but even though I want Oakland to upset, I want Denver to upset, so the Texans can fool around and get the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, because it's so beneficial to have that number 2 seed. Because when you have that number 2 seed, you're 60 minutes away from the AFC Championship game. Something that you've never been. You're 60 minutes away from the AFC Championship game. And not to mention, you're at home game, 60 minutes away from the AFC Championship game. And not to mention, if things break right with that number 1 seed, and whoever that it's a bad matchup for them, like say the Chiefs end up playing the Chargers. The Chargers can go into Kansas City and win. Vice versa. The Chiefs could go into LA and beat the Chargers and things like that. Baltimore can go into LA and beat the Chargers. Baltimore can go into Kansas City and beat them. Like whatever happens in that matchup, in that number 1 matchup, could happen. and you can end up hosting the AFC title game. So you don't even have to have that's why you don't have to have the number one seed to host the AFC Championship game. Things can break right that you can still host the number one seed even by being the 2 or even by being the 3. Even if you're the 3 seed and you go in and beat New England, the only bad thing is that you got to go into New England. I don't think that's a tall order this year because the way New England's looked as of late, and I said this weeks ago that this looked like a 11-5 Patriot team is going to lose in the first round. And I firmly hold on to that. I think no matter who they face, their very first playoff game, Texans, Titans, Colts, Ravens, Chargers, Chiefs, whoever, they will lose their first playoff game because the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Colts, they can't keep up scoring with them. They cannot keep up scoring with them. The Ravens and the Titans can defend, like they can put pressure on Brady, and both teams can win the football well, especially the way Derrick Henry is running the past couple weeks. They'll be able to control the clock and keep them out the game. And then I think that Deshaun is coming with a chip on his shoulder, losing twice in New England, last year and earlier this year. And also same thing, pass rush. I think our pass rush can get to Brady, and I think that Deshaun and Hop can do enough to put points on the board to keep the Patriots out of it. I don't now the only thing that the Patriots really have going for them is that they are the Patriots, and they are the Patriots. That's really much it. But if you actually think of it from take the Patriot helmet name, take the helmets off of them, and just look at it as a football team, they might be I'm not gonna say the most incomplete football team because the Texans have a horrible offensive line and a bad secondary. But the way that Brady's not looking like Brady of normal, Gronk looks like an old stagger of himself. Elman is banged up. They lost Flash. Flash not playing. They just look like a team that to me that's going to get into the playoffs and one. Then I know people don't want to count them out because they are the Patriots. They've been to multiple Super Bowls, got 5 titles. We say this year after year after year after year after year after year. I understand that. I get that. I could be eating crow because they can end up being Super Bowl champions all over again. I'll be sitting there with egg on my face. That's all cool and fine and dandy. From a football standpoint, I'm being dead serious. From a football standpoint, I don't think this is the same Patriots team. And I don't see them doing anything. I really think that they're going to lose in the first time they play in the playoffs. I think they're going to lose. I don't care if they're in New England. I don't care where they at. I don't care who they playing against or where they playing at. I don't see them going anywhere in the postseason. So this could be a prime opportunity for the Houston Texans to do something. And I think that we have the right guy pulling the trigger. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Comment below if you haven't. Click that bell, get more videos. I holla.